Want to start putting the one-way clutch together. The outer race is in the case. I did not take it out. They do unbolt. Typically in an overhaul you don't need to take that out unless you're going to replace it. And I want you to take a look down into the case here. And you look right in this area, you see a little hole. That's a lube hole to lube the one-way clutch. Now in a C4 you just have that single hole. In a C5 there's two holes. I'll show you that on a C5 case. Alright, looking down into the C5 case, we can see that hole, like we saw on the C4. And on this C5 you see this extra hole right here. And of course that's one of the main upgrades in the C5, and that is there was some lubrication modifications here. Now because of that extra hole, the thrust washer that goes in here looks a little different. Okay, this is the thrust washer that we're going to use on the C4. You can see it just has the two tangs that go down into the case. And here's a thrust washer from a C5. You see it also has the tangs, but it has these two little cutout areas here. That's to expose that extra lube hole. So remember, if you're using a C5 transmission and you need to replace this thrust washer, be sure you use one that's for the C5. Okay, we'll squirt a little lube in there. Get that nice and wet. Took a little bit of Vaseline, put on the back of the thrust washer. Lay that right down in there. Those lugs will go in the hole that's in the case. Alright, and then I'm going to put the little one-way clutch spring retainer in. This is the normal style that you'll find. The C5s will have a cage that has the springs already mounted on it, and as a matter of fact some of the replacement kits will also be that style. This is what you'll normally find right here. You put that little cage in right there, then you put the one-way clutch race, the inner race in, and you'll see on one side there's a countersunk area. See how it's flush on this side, but the teeth are countersunk on this side. The countersunk side goes down toward the thrust washer. So put that right down in there like that. And now we'll start putting the rollers and the springs in. We take one of the springs and put it right against, let's say, the shoe of that retainer. See how that is? Then we'll put a roller in behind it. We'll just take the roller and kind of push against the spring. Drop it right down in there. See how that is? Now we'll put another one right beside it. Just like that. Take another roller. Push it right against it. Go right on around with it. We'll go put another one in right here. And as you start putting more in it, more of the rollers in there, you may have to kind of rotate the race just a little bit and go all the way around with it. Now when you get the last couple in there, you may have to fight it a little bit. You may have to use a screwdriver to help you put it in. I have one more spring and roller to position, and the question may come up, do these springs need to be oriented a certain way? I don't think so. I can't find any literature to say that they need to be in a certain direction. However, I do like mounting them so that the opened end of the spring faces away from the inner race. So that's the way I'll mount this one. But again, I don't think it really makes any difference. And take the roller, push it down in there, and now you want to make a test here. The inner race should turn clockwise. Now it'll be tight, but it should turn clockwise, no problem. And it needs to lock counterclockwise. If it turns in both directions, you've installed something wrong, because this is the one-way clutch. This gives you your automatic first gear, and it works by having this lock in the counterclockwise direction. When you hit second gear, that race actually overruns. This one looks okay.